Hi, I'm Natasha Hawker from Employee Matters, and looking through the ELMO HR Industry Benchmark Report for 2026, here's my take on what's really happening with the adoption of AI in our businesses, our boardrooms, and HR departments. It's clear that while the promise of AI in the Australian HR landscape is immense, we're currently navigating a significant AI capability gap. I want to share with you 5 key ideas that came to me while reading the report. Around the low impact, we're seeing that infrastructure is still a bottleneck for businesses, that the age-old issue of ownership is rearing its head again, and that the impacts it all seems to have had on recruitment and retention, and the surprising benefit for employees. So firstly, there is a paradox of high adoption and low impact. The headline numbers are staggering. 93% of HR teams are now using AI, and 4 in 5 Australian organisations have adopted the technology. But here is where the disconnect is. While 32% of leaders expected AI to be transformative, only 15% has said it actually has delivered on that promise. The reality is that most HR professionals are now using AI for operational admin tasks, like drafting content or automating reports, rather than the strategic business shaping work we all envisaged. We're seeing the floor of AI value, but we haven't yet hit the ceiling. Next, let's talk about infrastructure. This, as ever, is a bottleneck. Why? It's not the lack of individual skill. In my experience, HR professionals have been actually quite effective in adopting AI personally. The problem is that organisational foundations are lagging. Consider these findings from the report. Only 23% of organisations have a fully centralised single platform across HR, payroll, and workforce management. 32% of HR teams still rely on manual processes to gather basic metrics. 40% of teams struggle to answer workforce questions from their leadership team because their data is really fragmented. As the saying goes, you cannot manage what you don't measure. And as we always say at Employee Matters, you cannot build high-performing culture on a broken foundation until we fix the systems that can deliver that data foundation. AI will remain a tool that is giving us lower value efficiency rather than being the strategic asset it could really be for us. Now, another theme familiar with owners of businesses, great and small, is ownership. That old chestnut. There's an innovation available, but you need someone to step up, to own it, to get the businesses to get the most out of it. The report is actually suggesting that there's a lack of clarity around who actually owns AI in businesses. Only 12% of HR leaders see themselves as the primary owners of AI adoption, while 39% believe it should lie entirely with IT. This creates a really grey area where adoption stalls because no one is empowered to drive it end to end. Here's an idea. Create a responsibility map. IT owns the systems and security, while HR must lead the human side. The governance, behavioural changes, the impact on existing roles, and measuring productivity. If you don't, AI could even be as much of a cause of friction and disruption instead of a benefit. But if you do, clarity around ownership around AI adoption is arguably the easiest win that you can implement in your business right now. Last but not least, there is a shift around recruitment and retention and the impact AI is having on morale. The benchmark report shows some fascinating shifts in the war for talent. Firstly, employee turnover is finally dropping. For the first time in 4 years, the average turnover has decreased, down 11% on average, according to the survey respondents. And costs are down, with the average cost to hire dropping, likely due to AI-assisted screening and lower cost sourcing tools. But at the very same time, hiring is taking longer. The average time to fill a role has jumped 25% to 25 days, with executive roles being even tougher to fill. I personally think that it's unwise to draw simple conclusions or take wild shots at explaining what all of this means. It's really early days of AI still, but we can say with certainty that it is a disruptor in the recruitment and retention space, and this is just the beginning. So what does that mean for you as an employer? It's more important than ever to get the basics right. Best practice hiring and engagement and investing in expert help, because I believe that your employees should be your greatest asset and not your greatest liability. The fifth and final point that I wanted to make is that wages and morale and the changes around that, which is related to recruitment and retention trends that we've seen at the coalface with our recruitment partner service and supported by the ELMO report. Here's the silver lining. According to the report, we're seeing an average expected salary increase of 4.5, finally outpacing inflation at 3.8%. Much needed good news for employees across Australia who are struggling with cost of living pressures. So that's my take on the 2026 ELMO report. And I really think that 2026-27 is the year businesses must move from just using AI to addressing AI ownership, the data infrastructure needed to power it, and measuring the impact. We need to stop treating it as a novelty and start treating it as a core business capability that uplifts our business ability to do what we do best and to empower our employees to drive that uplift. I would really love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you agree, or are you seeing really different trends and changes that I haven't actually covered off? Let me know. My name's Natasha Hawker, and remember, your employees really do matter.